This is an excerpt from our conversation with independent filmmaker Aileen Sheedy. To hear the full episode, click on the link in the description. And now, on with the show.
Yeah. So Newsies is like a super early movie for me. I saw that when I was 12, I think, for the first time. I got really into it in middle school. All my friends and I were really into Newsies to like a scary degree in middle school. And then I saw St. Elmo's Fire in high school.
What was it about Newsies that really got you like looped into it that far?
I'm going to be real. It probably the cute boys.
I
was just going to say.
Probably the cute teenage boys.
Especially Christian Bale. Oh my God, he's gorgeous and he's so intense.
Oh my God. I was watching him and I was like, look at that hair. Like,
oh man, yeah.
Gorgeous.
What got me was in researching Newsies, was that this kind of came out just before the big boy band boom hit, like a year or two before that. We still had New Kids on the Block aging up, but still performing. And then this came along.
One of the Newsies actually was in a boy band. So yeah, I don't know, the guy with the eye patch, Kid Blank.
That's Trey Parker.
Yeah, Trey Parker, who's not
shit.
Trey Parker. It's not the Trey Parker of like South Park. It's a different Trey Parker.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was in a band called EYC, which stood for Express Yourself Clearly, that had like maybe one album. But yeah,
Please
they were
tell
like
me
total...
that was a Christian boy band.
It might have been.
Oh no.
It might have been. I think I maybe have their CD. I don't totally know, but yeah, I'll say nothing about the quality of the music.
I'm going to look it up right now while we're talking.
That is so 90s too, even just the band name. Oh.
Yeah, EYC.
It's interesting to me too, because apparently this was a massive flop. I know that I've heard about it for years and years, but I've never actually seen the thing. And I can see why, when did it come out? 92? I can see 92. Why it was a massive flop in 92. Like, we couldn't have been further away from labor disputes and any of that shit.
And movie musicals. Movie musicals had kind of phased out as a style. And it was just Jeffrey Katzenberg who kind of thought, oh, now's the time to do it. And I understand that production-wise as a gamble, whereas it hasn't been in vogue for a while. Maybe now is when we can kick it off again. And he'd had huge successes with animated musicals, with Beauty and the Beast and Little Mermaid, and brought in the songwriter from those two shows to work on Newsies.
Yeah, Alan Menken. Amazing.
But it wasn't time for live action.
Yeah, had to give it another like 8 or 9 years.
Or I was kind of placing it in time in 1992. Wow, we're making a movie about 12 and 17-year-old boys running around smoking cigars and drinking beer and just dying to fight somebody.
Yeah. I mean, if you can believe it, there was a point in my life where I ran around yelling like, "Cheese it, it's the Bulls!" in like a really bad like New York accent.
The accents were great. Even Christian Bale was doing a good job.
Oh, he was trying so hard.
He didn't know how to sing or dance. He
learned how for this movie. He also learned how to do like a lasso trick for the song Santa Fe that they ended up cutting out, which is such a bummer. You can see it in the deleted scenes, and it's actually quite cool. So I think they cut it for pacing or whatever. But like, yeah. He learned so much.
That is one of the things that I love the most about it, though, is those old school 100-year-old Brooklyn accents that sound a little cartoony.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because most of what we hear them from now is like Looney Tunes cartoons, you know?
Imagine a bunch of high school and middle school kids are just being Bugs Bunny in a Universal backlot dressed up as 19th century New York.
Yeah, the gorgeous intensity of Christian Bale, for sure. I can see that appealing to 13, 14, 15-year-old girls. And no, it would have appealed to me if I'd seen it.
I want to give credit also to David Moscow, who played Davey in the show. I think anyone who talks about Newsies can't help but talk about Christian Bale, because he was amazing and was given an awesome role with so much to do.
Yeah.
And that's his like straight man counterpart. David Moscow wasn't doing as much, but he brought in an amazing performance as well, and also had to learn to sing and dance, which he hadn't done before.
Yeah.
But he didn't have the hair. He did not have the hair.
Yeah, he didn't have the floppy.
Or the, like, slightly murderous stare that's going on with Christian Bale. It just looks very intense.
Christian Bale was actually dating Elle Keats, who played Sarah in the movie, through most of the production.
Yeah. He also like does not acknowledge this movie anymore, which really bums me out. Like, I don't know, maybe it's changed, but I feel like there was definitely a period like maybe 10 years ago where people would like ask him about this movie and he would just like refuse to talk about it in interviews and stuff. Yeah.
I was reading an article about that. He said it was kind of looking back at being 17 and wanting to be taken really seriously.
Yeah.
And then he went out on a limb and did a musical, which he hadn't done before, which he hadn't been trained to do. And if it had been a success, I imagine it would have been a big boon for his ego and for his career. But when it flopped, I imagine it stung twice as much because like I went out of my comfort zone and then I got disappointed.
Yeah. Well, and it's definitely reached like cult classic status for sure. Like, I don't know a single like girl my age that hasn't seen this movie. Like,
have you guys seen the musical, the stage musical?
I have.
That they adapted?
Yes.
Yeah.
I went to go see it before it was on Broadway, actually, because I was in college in New York at the time, and they opened it at the Paper Mill Playhouse in New Jersey, and I like begged I didn't have a car, and so I begged my friend who had a car to drive us from like upstate New York down to Jersey to go see the show, and so I saw it before it moved to Broadway. It had Jeremy Jordan in it.
Wow.
I got to give him a hug after the show. It was super cool.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, because it was like this tiny little theater and like, you know, but yeah, it was super exciting when it like finally made the transition to Broadway, because like I feel like that's what I had been wanting like ever since I saw the movie. Like it was always like, oh yeah, everybody wants it to be on Broadway, and like it just didn't happen for I mean about 10 years between when I saw it and when it finally started to like do previews and stuff.
What I was reading, given its cult following, a lot of schools and theater camps were basically watching the movie and transcribing the music and dialogue and putting on their own kind of pirate productions. And after a while, Disney finds out about all this stuff and legally makes a decision, because this has happened with other shows as well. They'll choose to ignore a lot of stuff that isn't affecting their bottom line. But what happened with Newsies is they didn't go around busing anybody. They realized, oh, we need to develop a proper script that we can license out and charge. They were like,
we can make money off of this. Yeah.
Right, but they did the right thing that time and waited for there to be an audience or a market for this before they started developing a show that no one had asked for. Because originally this wasn't supposed to be a musical.
It wasn't.
Writers who put together were invested in the story of the Newsies.
Yeah, it was like a straight drama. I think you can still find the original script for it online.
The end result of the film, though, feels like it should be a Broadway production. It feels small enough, like it should be on stage. So it's a bit of a shock that like it started as a film. It feels like it was the other way around.
My smartass self was watching this thinking, man, this feels like an MCU TV show where it's all like fun and bright and we're just having a good time. And I'm watching, you know, a lot of the subject matter, I think this should be DCEU. This should be really gritty.
That's what I love about it.
Maybe Christopher Nolan should direct this and be like, it's serious. Like, Joseph Pulitzer was going to fucking kill Christian Bale.
Yeah. But that's what I love about it, though. Like, that, I feel like we forget how awful shit was a century ago, you know? Like, those labor disputes were, you know, dragging bosses out of their houses and beating them to death and like setting shit on fire and like, and this was a real thing that actually happened. So like
two little kids. Yeah.
Well, and the movie actually aged a lot of them up. Like a lot of them were closer to like 13, 14, not like 17, 18.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And also the way it kind of, I mean, the ending of the movie is different from what actually happened, which was like they won the strike, but it wasn't that they like won. It was like they won the right to sell back any papers that they hadn't sold at the end of the day. That's like all that happened.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, and the end of the movie was changed for budgetary reasons. In the end, Christian Bale's character Jack Kelly was going to go down to the train station and ride off to Santa Fe to achieve his dream. And they realized, oh, we didn't have enough money, didn't have enough time yet to go down to a train yard. You know what we'll do? We'll just have him circle the block and decide to come back. and not fulfill his dream at all.
Yeah.
Because, brotherhood. Brotherhood and unions.
At least they had, was it Roosevelt?
Yeah,
Theodore
Teddy
Roosevelt.
Roosevelt, who just shows up out of nowhere, like Deus Ex Machina style. Like,
Which is just...
That's
I love that. It was kind of sweet in its own weird way.
yeah.
I got to call out Marty Balafsky, who
Oh,
played Crutchy.
yeah. He's so good.
You knew who I was talking about right away?
Yeah. Oh, I know the names of
Oh,
all of
yeah.
these actors, dude. I'm not kidding you when I tell you, like, I was on a Yahoo Groups email list for like 6 years, like basically from
Oh.
sixth grade all the way through the end of high school until it kind of
I love
died.
it.
That was like all about Newsies. Like all of my friends
it.
were like girls from the internet who liked Newsies. Like I have a Newsy name. It's like serious business over here.
Can you share your Newsy name? Or is it private?
No, it's Tree.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
This is one reason I think that we get along so well. Like, we both understand early fandom, which is a very obscure thing. But yeah, those Yahoo mailing lists, I love that that's a thing that you know about. Because, like, I've never met anybody else in real life who knew about that.
Well, and I think that's one of the other reasons why this movie is like so important to me is because it was really my very first like fandom experience, which is like kind of shaped the core of my personality and like my creative being. Like I don't know how to create without like being a fan first. Like almost everything I write is like an adaptation
Oh,
of
yeah.
something, or like it's like a weird vision of my life as if I'm writing fan fiction about my life, or like it's just so much of how I view the world.
Yeah, having known you for a while, that is 100% an accurate observation.
Have you written any fan fiction about Newsies?
I've not written for Newsies in quite a long time, but I did back in the day. I had a couple ones that never got finished that are kind of a bummer. There was a genre of Newsies fan fiction that was very popular that was like time travel. Like you're a girl from 2002 who ends up accidentally time traveling back to 1899.
Like Outlander?
Yeah, basically. And then like you
cool.
show up on the Newsies doorstep and then all of them want to date you or whatever.
Fan fiction. I
Yeah.
This is a question as an outsider, I guess I should ask. Is some of the appeal of Newsies that there's just so many of them?
Yeah, it kind of is. Because then all of your friends can each have one and you don't have to fight over anybody. Like
I love it. I love the democratic side of Newsies fandom.
yeah. And they've all got
There's enough
names
for all of us.
like, they're not obvious in the film, but they do all have names. A lot of them have developed like fanon personalities. So like if you read the fan fiction, they all kind of have similar personalities.
Was there ever any like Newsies and Hook Lost Boys crossover?
Oh,
I don't
Like
know
Rufio
about
versus Jack Kelly?
Hook specifically. I would write that. I would read that.
yeah.
Yeah. There was a Peter Pan, a version of Peter Pan that came out in 2003 that had kind of a lot of crossover, like audience crossover. So I had a lot of friends that were into Newsies that were also into that. I want all the weird crossover fan fiction. I want it all.